Aloha. With this video, I just wanted to kind of jump into the next chapter. Seems like another chapter of the same book, but really talk about the personal accountability of each individual in reference to this macro system. Because you have brothers and sisters and cousins and nephews and nieces and children and grandchildren. You have all these people, and if you don't, somebody in your family does. And when you pass on, they will have to deal with the control grid. They will have to deal with the situation that largely a lot of the people who are living today are trying to avoid. And that avoidance and deflection is built into the system. It keeps the system afloat. And what I'm saying is that it keeps the system afloat on the blood and the bones of the individuals who do not take responsibility for the upcoming 7 generations, their descendants. This system thrives off of you being scared of living today and dying today. This is why there's so much attention on the body and technology and so on and so forth. So people already know this, but what I wanted to do was really just go into, like, I talk a lot about the system of racism, white supremacy, and the so-called white man and white woman who has been used as a figurehead or some kind of idol, this idol worship. This, when you're watching Hollywood and politics, and you're seeing, your newscasters, you're looking at idol worship. The white man and the white woman has been idolized, and they have been idolized as the evolutionary peak of so-called humanity, being that animals or humans are just animals. They're just monkeys that evolved into what we are today. So you just get what you get, basically. When you think you're an animal and you came from nothing, the Big Bang, heliocentric nothingness, you get what you get. So we're dealing with this control grid that is telling you it's dumb, but it's actually intelligent. It's smart in that it looks dumb. And it's pawning off at the same time that it's playing dumb, it's playing smart too. So this is how the system, gets people to fall behind it. What I wanted to, people know this, but I wanted to focus specifically on the way so-called black people or brown people or whatever you want to call it, not white people, are used in this scene in order to not only push the agenda, but to enslave our own people. So our own people are the biggest threat. This is what I want to make clear in all of these videos, because I know I talk a lot about the origin stories. So this is how it's broken down. And I don't want people to misunderstand me on this, because a lot of the previous videos were based upon bringing about the origin stories, like the most obvious shit that's out there that people are still acting like doesn't exist. That's what, all the focus on racism, white supremacy, and colonialism and genocide, and that being the transition into the New World Order. That's like the most obvious shit I could see. And on the whole, that wasn't, and it still at this point is not being spoken on. In fact, the people who are protecting and defending that system are now being idolized. Here's your Mark and Patricia and all those other people in the so-called truther community who still don't talk about the information that is at the heart of the issue. They're still talking about glorified truther information, truthertainment. So it has nothing to do with empowering yourself and actually doing something with, the resources that you have, which is your intelligence and the knowledge that you get in this so-called truther community. So this is pretty much how it breaks down. We have the mind controls, right? You have the mind controls of heliocentrism, colonialism, monkey evolution, the dinosaur programming, the technology worship, the desensitization, the fear programming. You have all these things, right? We can see that these things have been invented largely by people who are still within and running, like they are, they have been CEOs or upper management within the system of racism, within the corporation of racism, white supremacy. They've been in those circles and still are in those circles. But who are the on the ground operators? Who are the runners of that system of racism, white supremacy? It's our so-called people. Like it's our people. It's our own people. So like when you look at BET, like that should be offensive to the indigenous people around the world, not black people. See, black people are cool with that. The people who have no identity in any kind of way. They're just black the same way that white people are white. See, these are codes. These are frequencies. Black and white is a code. It's a frequency. It's not to say that there's something wrong with black. It's to say that there's something way more complex than that, and then just to call yourself that is to downplay your complexity and to take it a step even further, your divinity. So this is why this shit is allowed to happen. So your defenders, so you have the people who are attacking you, right? Those are the warriors who are out there to maintain the empire. So even including all the people in the comment section who are talking about, yeah, race this and race that. You're only talking about race. It's really about the Jews and it's about this. You see how that's not even at all going into the depths of the storyline? They're just looking for another story to watch. Now, does that take away from the so-called Jewish people, which who aren't Jews, the so-called Jewish people? Does it take away from their involvement in the system? Of course not. So that's another thing that people get easily distracted by and then start creating all these teams like, oh yeah, because it's easy. It's easy to see how the Jewish mindset has been involved in all this like manipulative shit that involves all of the programs around the world. It's easy to see that. It's harder to go deeper than that and realize that, they are just one chess piece on a bigger board. But since that is what, the mainstream teachers like Joe Rogan and Owen Benjamin and all those people, well, since that's what's spouted off by them, the little childish, adolescent at best followers of these people will spout that off, think that they're intelligent, and then get in a comment section and then try to manipulate or control the dialogue. They can do that on other channels. They can do that on entire channels are built upon that. But this is not what it boils down to on this channel. It goes way further than that. So save your breath, save your time. And like I said, most people there's a lot of people who are paid to do that shit. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that at all. But so you have the people who are attacking you, right? The system of racism, white supremacy is alive and well. It's a well-oiled machine. It's been going on for a long time. It hasn't stopped. The war is still going on, and it's gotten way more complex. This is a known fact, and you have, millions of people saying that it doesn't even exist. But for our people, we know this, and we know it's a known fact. So, moving on from that. Within that system, you have so-called black people or indigenous people who are being used to defend that system. So I ask you, when we're looking at warriors, what's the biggest threat? Is it the warriors that are attacking us who are trying to maintain their empire? Are they the biggest threat? Or is the biggest threat our own warriors who are defending the empire of the system of the warriors who are attacking us. It's our own warriors. Now you're going to have people saying, oh, I told you something. No, no, this was already known. Point was, for all these videos that I've been doing talking about the system of race and white supremacy, was to set the tone. That is chapter 1. Chapter 2 is to take responsibility. Chapter 1 is to acknowledge what is going on. What is going on is a system of racism and white supremacy utilizing various mindsets and intelligences to maintain control and dominance over the masses around the world. That is chapter 1. They do it in many different ways. They do it with the Jewish mind control. They do it with terrorism. They do it with false flags, the political scene, Hollywood, the education system, their cosmology, politics. Every single system goes straight back into the system overall. So if that's the case, that's why I said you're going to have warriors. You're going to have people in there who are profiting from that system. They love it. Like in Joe Rogan's last video, I just little check with this same guy. He talks about homelessness, and they're going in on homelessness. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke to them. Like, they're laughing at the people living on the streets. And then one thing that I remembered just now that I really wanted to say is that you got to listen to what Joe Rogan boils this stuff down to and then moves on from, because that is those are the biggest, things that hit you, that those are the biggest weapons out there. So what Joe Rogan says about homelessness is what do you think he says? Well, he says, oh yeah, it's mostly just people are out there because drugs and something else, something stupid, drugs and like bad habits or something like that, drugs and whatever he said. Point is that he focused all of the homeless issues on the individual and didn't go to the situation at all. That's the point of point of racism, white supremacy, is to blame everything on the individual. And then when they fail, because the system has been designed to make them fail, redlining, the Homestead Act, the head right system, putting guns in the community, putting drugs in the community, making you hate yourself, destroying the family, so on and so forth. When you fail in that system that was designed for you to fail, then they make an example out of you. And then they call you a drug dealer and you're this and you're that. So they use you as an example to tell your own people that you are primitive and savage because you failed in their system. What I'm saying is that their system is the actual epicenter. It's the blueprint of of recognizing their alchemy. We have to tear down the whole system. But what I'm saying is that in this video, what I wanted to focus on is that to tear down the system, are you going to address the people who are, trying to protect the system, who are invested in the system? Are you going to first talk to the people who are trying to protect the system, who aren't even protected by the system? Like this fucking guy, Rich Benoit, or whatever the fuck his name. I don't know who he is, but he is the perfect example of like the character that Joe Rogan needs. He's a so-called black guy, loves technology, loves Elon Musk, loves the American way, he's like the techno coon of society. And these are the kind of people that, Joe Rogan has to find these fucking people. I've never even heard of this guy. People like Joe Rogan have to find him. And this is why they have to find him, because he loves this shit. If you just had a regular white person saying the same things that he said, they wouldn't sound the same. They wouldn't feel the same. They'd actually feel average, like normal. Like they'd be like, why is Joe Rogan talking about it? But since it's a black guy, talking about how great Elon Musk is, since it's a black guy talking about, just laughing away homelessness with Joe Rogan, like, yeah, it's a bad problem. Yeah, it's just, they're just drug addicts out there and they're just making bad decisions. It has nothing to do with the system systematically, institutionally putting them on the streets. It has nothing to do with that. So what happens is that when you have your own people defending it, that makes it 1,000 times more effective. The mind control within the system of racism, white supremacy is 1,000 times more effective when you have so-called black people defending it. Because what it does is it makes everybody else feel okay. Everybody else has this subconscious exhale, this subconscious, I feel so much better knowing that black people are just fine with everything. They're okay. It's okay. Oh man, that feels so much better. If you see a white person up there talking about how great everything is, subconsciously you have this little voice in your head saying, something's wrong with this. I don't feel right. Maybe we should be talking about how fucked up things are. Two white men talking about how great everything is. Oh, this is a little scary for us. That's where that fucking lip bite comes in. When you see white people and they bite their lip and that little internal guilt comes in. Like they think it's a hello. They think it's a greeting. But it's sort of a, I'm sorry, I'm one of the good ones. But, hello, I'm not threatening at all. That kind of shit, that's part of their whole delightful nature. That's part of the same thing, kind of like taking over the whole world with that bullshit. Anyway, again, on a side note. Anyway, when you have these individuals like this, like just totally deflecting from gentrification, this is why people like Joe Rogan bring up topics like gentrification and homelessness with so-called black people. Not other people, though. Because like I just said, it makes them look bad when you talk about with other people. But when you talk about with so-called black people, they're saying it's okay. It's okay in society. So this man, he just gave Joe Rogan a pass for talking about how fucked up everything is. Or not talking about how fucked up everything is. And if you watch that homeless video, you can see easily Joe Rogan's trying to lighten it up. He doesn't want to let Rich get too serious about it. He immediately jokes about it. Like when he knows that in some kind of way, he knows he's getting ready to talk about something serious. So when he talks about, when I got to LA, Joe Rogan immediately says, the weather, right? The weather, the sun is beautiful. Oh my God, the sun. Like he wants him so badly to talk about the fucking weather. And then he starts talking about homelessness. And then all of a sudden, he has to switch into that. And then he has to turn it into a fucking joke. Oh yeah, there's people everywhere. It's such a fucking horrible thing. Yeah, they're living on people's lawns. Like this guy has a multi-million-dollar house, and this guy pulled up with an RV and just started sunbathing on his lawn. And he's probably smoking meth in there. I mean, I can't say that legally, but there was white smoke billowing out of the RV, and it's most likely meth, and it's in front of my friend's multi-million-dollar home. I mean, this stuff has to be stopped. And then you have his black friend up there saying, yeah, that's totally right. That shouldn't be the way it's supposed to be. Let's talk about aliens now. And then Joe Rogan's like, yeah, I got a black guy up here. We're going to talk about technology, aliens, and how fucking just stupid regular old people on the streets are. That's why this guy's on there. So back to what I was saying before. Who's the biggest threat? Obviously, the system that is attacking you is the biggest threat. But take it a step even to more of the complexities of that system. Now that you're in the system of acknowledgement, that you can see the system for what it is. Now you can see the war for what it is. Now that you see the war for what it is, you know that there's an offense and a defense in a war. So you can see this weak-ass idea of the truther community is a controlled opposition. It's the fake offense. It's the offense that has been put out into society to keep the real organic offense from waking the fuck up. This is what the truther community and all this little cheap ass information that's getting repackaged by people with giant egos, selling it back to the people. This is what's happening. It's stealing your time. It's not actually involved in the war. It's only It's on the commercial for the war. So now that you know that the offense, including your truther community, is an offense against you, it's offensive. The truth that Mark and Patricia that are pawning off as truth, that truthertainment, it's fucking offensive. Just as BET should be offensive to the indigenous people, Beyonce should be fucking offensive to the original people of this fucking land. But when you have the original people of this land celebrating the idols of the people who took over this land, now you have that self-destructive catch-22 that is the refinement stage that Nilly Fuller Jr. was talking about. As long as, you know, the system continues to put off this idea that it's getting better, as long as, you know, the system is underneath the system of getting better, it's getting worse. It's refining itself. It's making it more part of it's intertwining itself within your scene. Like look at black, so-called black entertainment television. Who is it ran by? What is it promoting? Are those our family values? Are those our personality traits? The people that you see on television, specifically the so-called black people that you see on television, they're not traditional thinking so-called black people. Most of the people that you see on so-called white television, including this man, Rich Benoit, they are infected with this parasite, this Western parasite. And they will get, and only the people who have this parasite inside their psychology, only those people will be put in their, on their cameras, and only them will be able to say what they're saying on their platforms. Because any of the words that you say when you don't have the parasite will completely destroy their entire scene. Everything that you say will destroy what it is that they're trying to distract you from. So, like I said, the biggest threat is the system. Yes, chapter 1. Chapter 2, now that you're in the warfare, the biggest threat of chapter 2 is your own people, the defenders. Now that you know what's going on, now that you can see the board for what it is, people who defend the institution and people who are just saying we need to take responsibility for both what our ancestors did and didn't do and our responsibility today for our descendants. That isn't being done because the people who are in the truther community have no fucking idea about what's going on in chapter 1, and the people who are in the system are too busy defending the system. So that's what you have on the board right now. You have people who are in the truther community who are still defending the system in many different ways. Like, I don't have to name off any names, but you know who they are. All those people who are saying, oh, I can't talk about Western civilization. I can't talk about eugenics. I can't talk about, you know, the things that are obvious. They can't talk about that shit. Owen Benjamin actually said it. He said those words. I cannot speak. I'll name the names of the people who actually said they can't speak about, you know, the shit about Western civilization that I know of, that I've heard personally. Not personally, but, you know, like with my own ears on YouTube, they said this. Somebody who's known and somebody who's not known actually used those words. Owen Benjamin said those words in many different ways, but specifically, I can't speak about that. It's just too bad. Ooh, it hurts my ears. My heart hurts. My little old heart hurts. It just feels so, it feels so sad when I think about eugenics and colonization and racism. It hurts so, it hurts him so bad. He can talk about all that other shit. Look back at that video. Find that little clip. He talks about the most skankiest, dirtiest, most grimy ass jokes and all that other shit. But when you start talking about racism, he can't talk about it now. Get the fuck out of here with this shit. This is how they play that victim and that aggressor so easily, and people fall for it every time. It's saying, "Oh yeah, I just can't talk about it," and then his followers are just gonna go around. They're believing the same thing. They're thinking the same way. So let me get on with this and show you an example of our own people who are defending the system of racism and white supremacy. This is this man. I'm gonna use him as an example because this video is a really good example of our own people, who are used by the system, who are used by this program to defend their own system and fuck up our own people. Oh shit, I forgot about that. Fuck, how am I gonna play this? Oh, while I'm thinking and right now, side note, just got a second copyright strike on this channel. So if you've been watching this video, these channels, this channel for a while, and there's videos that stick out to you, I would say go ahead and download them. If you're gonna re-upload them, just don't monetize them, because I would see this channel coming down pretty soon if they're making moves like that. The first channel strike was from Abraham Hicks. It was the Abraham Hicks production when I was talking about the New Age and channeling and all that stuff. That video had like 4,000 or 5,000 views plus. The next video was Like It Is with Gil Noble, the Gil Noble whatever family, or the Noble family. That was sharing an interview with Dr. John Henrik Clark and Dr. Ben, and yeah, just anyway, whatever. That's actually part of this too. So utilizing, so this goes into like, this is a good example. So like that interaction, like Gil Noble, the Noble family, putting a copyright strike on me, potentially shutting my whole channel down, and definitely being a part of this channel being shut down. Look at why this channel will be shut down. Look at the nuts and bolts of what that is, and compare it to like family, like destroying of the families. So you have, like, look at what happens with like child support. Like, look how money gets involved in families. It destroys the family. With, like, you don't have enough money for food. It takes the parents away from the kids when they got to go to work to provide for their family. So you don't have any time with your kids. Your kids got to go to school so they can grow up and then be successful, and then go to work to provide for their kids. And then you have like the psychology. You have the psychology that gets involved. The psychology that will make, a mother like have all these kids just so she can get money. That exists out there. It's across the board too. So you can see how like bastardized, how sickening, like how sick, this whole system is. If this had any divinity in it, it's in the umpteenth degree of nothing. It's damn near nil. It's nothing. If you have people selling babies, you already have women selling their ass on the streets. You got men doing it too. You got everything going on to where the extremes of this are not being paid attention to. And a lot of this can be traced back to, for example purposes, like I left it on here, it's not all money, but just see how money gets involved. Now look at this. Look at all you can see how that, tears down individual people, families, entire cultures, communities, nations, how that, spread out all the way. Now look at how specifically money, which are slave master notes. Who are the pictures on there? This is why it's so it's so laughable when people say, white privilege doesn't exist and racism, white supremacy doesn't exist. Look at your money. Who the fuck is on there? There's a thing going around talking about the only reason why, Abraham Lincoln's coin is copper colored is because he had a little splashing of he was a black person. He wasn't completely white. So his blood was tainted. So they put him on the cheapest coin out there out of spite. So you can see how deep and how real this shit is for them. And it's very funny to see how, the descendants of these people who are, they will gladly, take the riches and the privileges that come along with the racism. But they don't really want to take everything else that comes with it too. In fact, they don't even want to acknowledge that it existed or exists. So you see how all that money, that game gets involved in all that obvious stuff. Now look at how it gets involved in the culture. Like I said, BET, people looking up to the housewives of Atlanta, people looking up to, women, Cardi B, an ex-stripper. Like all these people who are placed into society for a particular purpose. And then, the people who are calling themselves truthers, they act like they can't see this shit. They want to act like they don't see it and there's no intelligence behind it. You really think that we're that fucking stupid? Just because you're crying and yelling and saying that it doesn't exist, you think it's going to make us not see it? How fucking ignorant are you? And what's even beyond that is that they're not even the worst part. The ones who talk shit, at least I can see them. At least I can see the ignorance. What really gets me really is that it's these so-called these institutional intellects, these ones who think they know that what the system is about. They still can't let go of racism, white supremacy, and they defend that shit. I'm like, how the fuck can you say all this and then not say anything about, the very system itself? And that's why I said Jesse Spotts and Owen Benjamin, they're good examples of the mindset because they actually voiced it. Jesse Spotts is a little truther, the so-called truther, Christian truther. All he wants you to do is follow Jesus in the Bible and then talk about the Mandela effect and flat earth and then go back to sleep. That's what he wants you to do. Don't do anything else. Just get angry and talk about shit. But and then just go back to Jesus. That's it. Your mission is complete. So you can see how, maybe a couple thousand people are going to follow that example and then think they're okay. Why? Because Jesse Spotts does it. And then and they can't get 16,000, subscribers or however many subscribers he has. So they're just going to follow him. And then they say, oh, I did my job. If I did what Jesse was doing, then I did my job. Then so I'll just follow him and be like him. Same thing with like Owen Benjamin. So they download these belief systems of these individuals and then they just copy and paste and then grow as at the pace, at the velocity of the YouTuber. So what I'm saying is that these people are put out there on purpose. So back to what I was saying with the money thing. So look at it with YouTube specifically. You saw how it breaks families, and it's designed specifically to break families. The same way the FBI installed guns or put drugs and guns into the community. The same way like the all this stuff is being run by the government. And then people are still calling themselves truthers and then saying, oh, I can't talk about the government. What the fuck? You can talk about false flags. You can talk about cloning. You can talk about all the shit that the government is doing, but you can't really say that the government is bad. What the fuck is like Western? You can't talk about the origins of Western so-called civilization. You can't see that. So this is that weird in-between people that's made up. It's fucking make-believe. There is no in-between this shit. You can't be for genocide and against genocide. You can't be that. It's fucking impossible. But people are like that today. They're like, yeah, I'm okay with, the genocide, the colonizers genociding people all over the world because look at what they've given us. So I'm against doing it today. Oh, that'd be horrible. That's horrible. But they are doing it today. It's still happening. It's just happening with your food, your water, your poverty, your legislature, like all this shit. It's happening on that scale, and they just call it like for your benefit. So you have these simpletons who have made it in there. Like this is why nothing really changes. It's because you have the people who are making it. They think it's real. The people who've made it in the American dream, they're constantly telling, like this is why I said it goes back to Joe Rogan, Rich Benoit, all the athletes, all the actors, all the politicians. They've made it in that system. They said, yeah, I did it. It's doable. It's totally doable. You should do it. And then they're defending it. They're saying, look, you guys, you're just drug addicts. You can't do it because something's wrong with you. Like, oh, take it a step even further. Like Owen Benjamin and even Joe Rogan has stated, where they say black people are, or statistically white people are smarter than black people. That's why they're poor. That's what they're saying. They just haven't said it like, they're saying it like that. They're saying it to your face. When they have this asshole Rich on here, that's what they're saying to you. They're saying, yeah, we can use your own people against you. And you'll like it. You'll follow it. And the people that we use, they won't even say anything about it. So you can, let me use him as an example so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll try to let it play all the way through. But look at their banter. Look at their back and forth. Just observe like what's going on here. This is the alien interview. And see how it goes. They talk about technology, Elon Musk. They talk about, brain power and all this other stuff. But the thing to keep in mind is that this guy he is a defender of Western so-called civilization. He is an enemy of the indigenous people of the entire world because he is a comrade of Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan is designed, his main designation is to defend the Western consciousness. And they will do it by hook or crook. They will do it in any kind of way. Specifically, the most potent way to defend the Western so-called civilization is to get the people who are of the indigenous, of any kind of any location, of the Americas, of Australia, anywhere. Make them not be a so-called white person who loves this shit. Give them BET, give them Martin Luther King, give them Black History Month, give them whatever, sports, basketball, football, give them all this shit. But don't tell them the truth. Only publicize the people who are a disgrace. Only publicize the people who are defending the system. Anybody else, you either take them out or you brush them under the rug. You hide, put them in a corner somewhere. See, this shit is known. Even by so-called white people, you hear crickets. Even the so-called black truthers, they won't talk about this truth because it seems too simple. I think that's what it is. In the truther community, truthers, in the so-called truther community, we have this tendency to, I don't even want to say we, because I'm not in that shit. They have this tendency to gravitate towards the only, like the most attractive truth. That shit is fucking sick. It's the same example of the new age and the mainstream community. That's what that's the definition of the mainstream. And that's a good example of how the truther community is not truth at all. It's truthful information, basically designed for truthertainment. It's entertainment with truthful information. So real truth has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with catering to anybody's delicate sensibilities or catering to anybody's like emotional fucking bullshit. It just is what it is. So when you have people jumping around, you know, from story to story, you can realize, you can see what's what. You can see what's why. That's a better way to say it. Let's see. Yeah, this truthful information, it's not very, it's oversimplified in a fucked up system where you can be in the actual truth and just talk about the simple truth. Simple truth is that there's a system of people. There's an entire demographic of people who are defending their own enslavement and do not know it. They've been conditioned to defend their own enslavement against their own people who are trying to help them see that they're defending their own enslavement. This is part of the system. Let me play this so you can see an example of it. Hopefully it didn't stop the video.
All right, let me ask you this, because you're all into technology. Go ahead. What do you think about aliens?
God, this doesn't seem tech-related at all.
Yeah.
Do you think they exist?
Do you think they've ever visited here?
Oh, God. No.
No.
I don't think so. I think they would have destroyed us.
Really?
Yeah.
But why, when we visit primitive tribes, we don't destroy them necessarily. Like, we try to leave them alone.
Do we try? But we end up destroying them one way or the other anyways.
Well,
I
there's
feel.
a few,
I think
some people do, for sure.
Even when we try to be nice, it's like, yeah,
Right.
look at that tribe. But let's analyze them. Let's take a few photos.
Right.
Let's give them food. And they die pretty much.
Yeah, there's always that, there's that image, a famous image of these tribes people in Brazil, an uncontacted tribe, and they're painted, they're body paint, and
Right.
then they have arrows drawn at the helicopter.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they...
Yeah. You see how simple this shit is? This is for simple-minded ass people. Little kids, little fucking teenagers.
about helicopters, and slowly
now
but surely they're going to freak
Now
out.
it's the new sun god.
Yeah.
Now they worship a new religion.
Right.
See, think about it.
Can you imagine if you were an uncontacted tribe and all of a sudden a
saw
fucking helicopter shows up?
Whenever I see a helicopter show up,
You ever see that? You see that Burger King commercial? People who still watch commercials or TV right now. There's a Burger King commercial right now. Just a dude off the street eating chicken nuggets, spicy chicken nuggets. That dude, you can't. He's not a real actor. He seems like a real person. Like you. That's the thing. Those are the most effective when you get real people. When you get real people to sell your chicken nuggets, then that's the best fucking thing out there. This is one of those guys who is so into technology, so into Western so-called civilization. He's so mind fucked. He's got generations of mind fuckery coursing through his veins right now. And he ended up on Joe Rogan's podcast shitting out the mouth about how amazing this system is.
freak out in general.
Yeah, in general.
You know what I mean?
Look at his
So,
face.
like,
Look how.
that's insane.
Have you
Look
ever
how.
been in one helicopter?
Yes.
So weird, right?
Look at Joe Rogan's face. Look at Joe Rogan's face. They have to sell this shit. They
Right,
love
it's
this
weird.
shit.
Yeah, it's the way,
Flying around like, okay, we're in the sky.
the way it makes noise, yeah, absolutely. But no, I think, I don't know, man. I think they would have destroyed
These are
us. They'd be like,
actors.
These guys are stupid.
Don't you think
They're
they would want to watch?
Real actors.
Like if you go to the zoo, right?
Yeah.
You go to the chimpanzee exhibit and you watch them swing around and shit. People love to watch the chimps. It's probably one of the most popular parts of the exhibit.
Right.
And we love watching them. Like, oh, look at them, look at them. And if
Do
you
we?
could go someplace where you could watch them in
Observe.
the wild,
Yeah.
like if there was like a webcam where
Right.
you could tune in to the Congo right now,
Right.
you would definitely, I would definitely.
Animal shit again. Look how they gotta sell you this shit. Animals, monkeys specifically. Not even talking about the downsides of zoos and animal captivity. He won't talk about that. Like this is how they keep you dumb. They keep you like compassionately dumb. That's what it is. Consciously and compassionately dumb. So if you're talking about this, you're also missing out on the intelligence within the compassion that is, why the fuck do we have zoos in the first place? See, when he's defending like how great it is to go to a zoo and go see monkeys turn around, and you love it. Look at his fucking eyes. Oh, they love it. instead of the smart, which it doesn't take much intelligence to explain how fucked up a zoo is, how fucked up a what's it called, a like Marine World and Sea World. It's not like those places are banned. I think like Canada banned like dolphin captivity now, or whale captivity or something like that. This is why I say it's so important to get to the origins of, or the beginnings of, the definitions of what like humanity is, because it's just a catchphrase. Like the word is just a catchphrase. Oh, like our humanity, we as humans, and da 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 da. We are so fucking awesome. Really? What's the definition of humanity? If you really do the definition of humanity, you'll see how fucked up you are. If you really want to get real with it, humans are the most fucking destructive things out there. That's what I'm saying. The definition of humanity is very accurate once you get down to it. But when you realize and start really getting to the definition of it, you'll realize that you yourself is something way more complex than that. You are way more complex than that. But these individuals are creating a system where people who can't think for themselves won't allow themselves to even acknowledge that that complexity is available, is even there. Because they are telling you, he says, we love seeing monkeys around. That's telling people like how fucking simple that is. It's ridiculous.
How do we know they're not watching us right now, though?
Exactly.
That's the thing. They probably are.
They probably are. But wouldn't they just like watch and observe?
So we
as long as we don't blow ourselves up.
So we would never know then in general. They could live among us. We wouldn't know.
They probably. I mean, I
And
would
you see how
imagine
confident
that
they
if there
are.
was a civilization that's on the.
You see how confident they are in talking about what they're talking about, as if, it's extra truth. So they have a confirmation level of having a podcast, and they have a confirmation level of having like an important person, interviewee, and then the interviewer. Like all these are like levels of belief that people get into. So it's like, you mean Joe Rogan is full of shit? Jamie's full of shit? The internet? The interviewer? Eddie Bravo? Like all these people are full of shit. Oh my God. Like you see how sensitive and overwhelmed people get, and they just shut down the information. That is on purpose. That's an actual thing that exists, that is planned for.
Cusp of some major breakthrough as far as artificial intelligence goes, which is where we are.
There we go.
And in many ways, I think that we're all super
There he looks at
fortunate to be
Jamie.
alive right
Pick
now.
something.
Because even though this is a time of
Back me
incredible
up.
turmoil,
Right.
it's also a time of an amazing potential and change.
There we
I'm
go.
greedy as hell, though. I want to see more.
I know.
I want to see more. I want to see.
See, he sets up Rich. Joe Rogan sets him up, and he has Jamie in the background with that quick little eye look. He has Jamie in the background to find information to back that up, what he's saying. And then Rich, because he was brought on this podcast to do exactly what he just did, which is to take what Joe Rogan believes in and make it black. Make it smart black, or what they're calling it lame. Like they're there's something out there. Intelligent lame. Something, I think Bro Sanchez has said something about this, about there's some kind of trend going around talking about, people who are like Steve Urkel or something like that. Like they made another label for them. They call them like something lame, intelligent lames or something like that. And then Bro was talking about how, lame is not a cool word. He just calls them corny or whatever. But beyond that, that is not another version of emasculinization, like emasculating the black man, just to another program to say this is how these people are, and then put them in a box and leave them there. This guy is like that. He's one of those guys who loves the white supremacy world. He can't fucking help how amazing it is, like to him, and he wants that world to get better. He wants that world to be bigger. So in that same moment, he's saying he wants his people to be more enslaved. And that's why when you say like, Are all these people in on it? No. This fucking guy, like a lot of these people are not in on it. They just have no fucking idea about how deep this shit goes. Look at your truther communities. Look at Mark and Patricia. They were the figureheads for one of the biggest lies in the whole fucking world, and they still didn't see how fucked up this shit was. They were literally sitting on top of that truth and had people surrounding them, telling them how deep this story went, how fucked up this story, and they still didn't see, and they still don't see it. They can't see it. So this is like this individual, he's the same way. He spent his, like I said, he's got 7 generations of racism, white supremacy coursing through his fucking veins right now, and he has no other way to be.
I really want to see a robot uprising. I'm dead serious about that. I really do. And I want to be like...
So he says he wants to see a robot uprising, and then Joe says don't ask for that. He makes Joe like the nice guy in the technology conversation. This is why Rich Benoit is on there, to make Joe look the way he just looked right there in that moment. He has him on there to be the extreme. Like, just imagine if Rich Benoit was a white guy. He wouldn't be able to say that shit. He wouldn't be able to go that far. Like, he'd feel a certain way. But since he's black, he can say that. That's why he's on there.
90-ish years old, and I want there to be this super advanced AI robot just to take over and start shooting shit. And I also want, because Elon Musk, he'll still be alive. His head will be in a jar. And he'll be like, I told you so. I told you, little robot hand. I told you. That's what I want to see, because it's like Terminator shit. The coolest shit
I don't
ever.
want to see that at all. I want to see that.
See, he's a kid. Oh, I want to see that. I want to see. It's like Terminator. It's like, they're fucking kids. And then, this is what I said, he makes Joe Rogan look amazing. So-called, his name is Rich Benoit, I think that's his name. The only person that can make Joe Rogan look amazing is a totally mind-fucked, so-called intelligent black man. But a black man who loves the system more than Joe Rogan. And that's the thing. This is the thing that so-called white people don't really recognize, and even non-white people don't recognize either. There are a lot of the reason why I'm making this video is because I don't give a fuck, overall, like, about white people particularly. I don't give a shit. Like, you got your own shit to deal with. Deal with that shit. Do something with it. That's your fucking world. You deal with that shit. What I'm saying is that in the system of racism, white supremacy, institutionalized consciousness, this whole fucked up system that, like I said, that shit's been coursing through that guy's, generations of bloodlines for so long now, that it comes out as this diarrhea on the Joe Rogan podcast. The biggest defenders of this system are not so-called white people. It's our own people. That's what I'm saying. It's not black on black crime. It's black on black consciousness. That's what's happening right now. It ain't got shit to do with crime. It's black on black consciousness. And like I said, the biggest defenders of this system, the ones that have the most impact on society, are not so-called white people. They're the people. Look at your ESPN. Look at TNT, the NBA Finals. 4 black so-called black people, the ex-gladiators of the NBA gladiator arena, surrounded by one white guy with glasses wearing a bow tie, who plays off to be the authority figure. He maintains the intelligence. He calms everybody down. When Shaq and Charles Barkley start barking at each other, who's got to pull everybody together? The white guy has to come and say, okay, come on, guys, let's get this together. Just like the referees in the fucking basketball game. This is why, and that's what I'm saying. So who we got to talk to? Fucking Shaq and Charles Barkley. Because these motherfuckers, that bow tie motherfucker in the middle, like Bill Nye, he's supposed to be doing that. He's supposed to be defending that system. They have nothing else. So-called white people have nothing else. That's all they have. So they will defend that. And they will use your own fucking people to do that. So this is what I'm saying. A lot of the reason, one of the main reasons why I make a lot of these videos, it ain't for fucking white people. This shit, I mean, white people are going to see it and they're going to see some of it is designed to like bitch slap some people in that world who don't really know what's going on. A lot of it, like on the macro scale, is to give an example overall. Like all these videos, if you go through all of them, you will see that the people that I'm talking to are the people who are defending the system who aren't white, because the people who are the people who have most influence on keeping people enslaved are the not white people. This is why Joe Rogan has this guy on here. And beyond that, the biggest defenders of this system are the not white people. Look at any race. Go to a Mexican family. Some of the biggest defenders of racism, white supremacy, and the so-called Western civilization are the people who made it. So the people who came here from other countries and they made it, they made the American dream, and then they have like 2 or 3 generations after them who've made the American dream. Those are the biggest defenders of the system of racism, white supremacy. The Astacio, whatever the fuck her, Cortez, like all the people in Hollywood, the Beyonce's dancing around, the Cardi B's flashing her watches and all her slave notes, the Black Lives Matter speakers who are out there talking about we need to just fix this and fix that, the techno geeks that are out there, the BET specialists, the housewives, the athletes, like all these people are the ones speaking. This is the thing. Mind control needs to be spoken in a language. The language of that mind control is spoken to mind control on the depths that the mind control needs to affect you. It needs to be spoken by your own people. This is what I'll end this on. I don't even need to play the rest of this video. I mean, I could, but I want to because there's a lot of fucked up shit on here. But this is what it really boils down to, and this is where I want to leave it at. The mind control that affects you on a macro scale needs to be installed into your system by your own coding, your own frequencies. This is what I'm saying with this video. This is what I'm focused on. I want to end it on this because it's the frequency of the system of racism, white supremacy. The frequency of racism, white supremacy on the whole that is affecting us is not put out by so-called white people. Like firsthand, it's out there, the system, yeah, obviously. But once it gets down to our level, the effectiveness is spoken by our own people. It's our own people that are maintaining the system. And what white people want to do when you say that is they want to say, "See, I told you, it's about unity." It's like, no, sit your ass down. You don't have permission to speak yet, period. You shouldn't be speaking. We still have to deal with the fact that what we've been speaking was your words. So shut the fuck up still. Please. Sit down and don't say anything. We still need time to heal and all this other stuff. And quite frankly, I don't even want to hear anything from anybody who's talking about that shit. Period. It doesn't, like, this is the thing that happens. People don't realize that they're already saying like, oh yeah, this is. Let me play this real quick and I'll get
aliens
back to
come in and stop us right when we're about to hit the green switch.
Yeah.
To turn on artificial intelligence. I want the aliens to come down with their little legs
Little
and
green
grab you
hand.
and go, hey, hey, hey.
Yeah.
No.
They would. They
Look
would
at this.
listen to us.
The robot gave this guy a
Boston
soda.
Dynamic. Yeah.
It's wrestling with him.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna grab your dick
What's
like that.
what's
It's gonna rip it right off.
I might like it.
You're gonna be beaten off. That thing's gonna come in. Let me help you.
But the thing is, what's stopping that from not wrapping around his neck and just crushing it?
There's nothing stopping it. If you get hacked, think about the same people that helped you make your Tesla work.
Right.
They're gonna hack into this fucking thing. It's gonna run right through your walls.
It's like Skynet.
It's gonna eat your dog. You ever seen the ones that flip? They have them on trapezes like Cirque du Soleil.
Actually, have you seen the part where they actually beat the robots and
Yes.
like injure? Like, yeah.
You know
like,
what my favorite part of that is?
What?
Well, they beat the robots to find out if the robots fall over.
Right.
They kick them and shit.
Right. They're not just, you know.
PETA released a statement
Yes, I saw
saying
that.
it's not cool
You
to
can't
kick
do that.
robots.
Shut up, Peter. What do you get involved in everything for? You know what I mean?
It's not cool.
Wait, how
It's
about
not
a
cool to
robot
kick
coalition? Should it be a robot coalition? Where like we stand with robots to say, listen, we built these things, but we can't hit them like
All
that.
right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Here's the real question. If you're 90 years old
Mm-hmm.
and you're still lucid but your body's failing,
Yeah.
your knees are gone and your hips bad
Yeah.
and your back hurts all the time and your shoulders are all torn apart, you can't pick things up, and they say, Rich, we can download your
Oh
consciousness
God, not this.
into this artificial body
Yeah.
that's like you if you were Anderson Silva when he was 30 years old.
It's like Black Mirror shit.
Yeah, they give you this super powerful body,
Right.
but it's you're gonna feel it just like that. But now you're gonna be like a super elite athlete, and it's gonna be you. And we'll put
Yeah.
your consciousness, or you can just go to black and see what happens in the afterlife.
Yeah,
Or
this
you
is-
just go to
let
black.
this 90-year-old body die.
This is the silliest question ever.
You're gonna take.
Of course I would
you're
take
gonna
it. Yeah.
Of course.
That's exactly what they need. That's just a, podcast conversation. But on this channel, that's a system that's trying to maintain its identity of being God in the eyes of the masses by extending life through their biggest mind control, the technology that's out there, or one of the biggest mind controls that's out there, technology. Using technology to deify themselves as gods and kings over you. And how they make themselves go from kings to gods is to say that they have the answers for the afterlife. In fact, they can extend your life. Over and over and over again, different kinds of these storylines are projected into society to make it look like this system has the ability to maintain, to be God. And then they maintain that frequency, and then they over the years they just say we could do it, we could do it, we could do it, we could do it. Oh, and then it just kind of deteriorates. It fades off into the black, and then the next story comes out. But they never fucking do anything. But all that they don't have, that's the point. They don't have to do it because the people defending what they're trying to say that they're doing is actually doing the work for them. The people defending it by telling that, by believing it and promoting it for them, like this guy and Joe Rogan promoting technology, that's all that is needed. That's enough to make it seem like they're actually doing it. And they can keep doing it and doing it and doing it like that for as long as they need to do it until they bring about the next distractive storyline. And that's what I'm saying is the biggest problem with black on black consciousness is just, and that's at the heart of any kind of like consciousness on conscious, like overall, our consciousness being attacked. Specifically with black on black consciousness, this is the identity that you can see with, is it really about black on black crime when people say, well, what about black on black crime? No, it's obviously the system that has been designed. Like everywhere you go, you're gonna, in China, there's Chinese on Chinese and Indian and Thai on Thai and Scottish on Scottish. What the fuck are you talking about? Black on. It's an invention in a world of system of racism, white supremacy, to make you think about a certain thing, think a certain way about certain people. What's happening right now is you have the consciousness. It's the white consciousness, that nothing make-believe consciousness, this glorified loving this world consciousness that exists inside the original people, that's allowing this empire to stay afloat.
Bird in the hand, right?
Right, yeah.
This afterlife might be bullshit.
Right.
I can enjoy myself right now.
Wouldn't you do that?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I actually want to do it right now. I'm
Kids.
90.
But I think that's how they're going to get us. I think slowly but surely they're going to replace parts. Like, there's already amazing artificial hands.
I've broken this down years ago, and he said this. He's saying it like that.
Articulating limbs.
Here's the thing. Would you want one of the limbs that looks like a human limb, or would you want like a robotic limb like in Terminator?
Look at these
I'd want a
fucking
Terminator limb
guys.
For sure.
Would you for sure?
I want
These
everyone to stare
fucking
at me.
children.
But what if it was nice and soft?
Do you think we're close to RoboCop then? Like, would that be maybe the first first step?
Jamie in
Yeah,
the
that's probably right.
background.
They're probably going to do that with like soldiers
Yeah,
and shit.
definitely. All the money's in
Yeah.
the military.
Yeah.
So they'll drop
Exoskeletons.
They'll drop 10 billion on that. I met
I've
one of
seen
those robots
I saw one of those at Pechanga Casino.
at the mall. It's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Real weird. I'll fuck that thing up.
You know, the one in the middle. The one in the middle. I put my hat on it, and it started freaking out.
Did it get mad at you?
Yeah, it just started spinning around in circles. I wish if it had a gun on it.
Oh no.
Then people would take it seriously.
I
But
wish
that's the
I
worry
had
about
a
those
gun
dog
on
things.
it. This guy is the worst. This guy is worse than Cardi B. This guy is equivalent to 1,000 Cardi B's.
Dog-like robots
Yeah.
that they just put guns on those motherfuckers. That is an episode of Black Mirror. Remember that episode?
No, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's called Heavy Metal.
Really?
It's one of the best episodes. This lady's running. Spoiler alert: this lady's running from these robots.
They have dogs on. They have
It
guns
looks
on
like a
them.
dog. It looks
Yeah.
like one of those things. Yeah.
I gotta check that
and
one out.
Yeah, and it has potential, like, actual real technology that it's using. So, like, it's not outlandish.
Yeah, the thing is about Black Mirror, everything is
Yeah.
like that could happen. That shit could actually happen.
Yeah, even
you know?
the thing where they implant memories and you like live this crazy fake life.
Right.
That's on the horizon.
So you know the interesting part about Black Mirror is that there's a pro and a con to everything.
Right.
So there was an episode where a woman wanted to keep better track of her daughter. So she implanted that chip so she could see whatever her daughter sees.
Fuck.
Right? Then her daughter got older and older, and she started to see some wild shit that the kid was doing. Right? But then, to your example, what would be the downside of putting my consciousness in someone with a jacked and like ripped body?
Well, the downside would be, would you even really be a human anymore, or would you be some sort of a thing that we've created that keeps your brain alive?
Right.
Would you be a human anymore, or would you be a thing? Well, definitely you'd be a thing, because they don't know what the fuck a human is anyway. So what is that thing? That thing is something new, and that thing is the thing that you have become, and that when you become that thing, they become the god of that thing. Because now, if you're living for another 200 years, who's your God? Who has to keep you alive? And what world do you have to stay in? And who's doing that? They are the gods and kings of you for those next 200 years, if that's possible. If it's not possible, they could fake that shit too. They could also fake it and then make it seem like it's possible. Let's just say it is possible. Let's say it is possible. What I just said is the truth. About in reference to them being gods over you. Your total life, they've given you, they've birthed you into another 200 years. That's what this system wants to do. And they need so-called black people or indigenous people to sell it to you. White people cannot sell this shit to you because it's fucking absurd. Like, people who do not have this Western parasite in their consciousness, they will not eat this shit up. Only parasites, like this fucking guy. That's why I said he's worse than 1,000 Cardi B's, 1,000 Beyonces. This guy.
But who cares?
Who does care? Well, here's the thing. Would you want to live a whole nother life? Like, how much time do you want in this fake body? Do you want to be immortal? Do you want to keep going forever?
Not forever, no.
I mean, you add 200 years. You know, there's an old story about that, about a guy, God damn it, it's like an old legend about a man who kept killing his sons in order to live longer.
Yeah.
Like that God came to him and told him, if you
Keep
kill his son,
killing your sons.
and he lived
Yeah.
to be like thousands of years old, but he
Right.
just had no one around him that cared about him and
Isn't that
loved
the
him.
story of Job in the Bible or something like that? Whatever, keep going.
It's from something.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But the point is, like, when you got to 200 years, if you said, okay, I'm going to take this body and I'm going to live in it for 200 years, but at 200 years, I'll be done, that's it.
Right.
But 198 years comes along and you're still like a 30-year-old Anderson Silva.
I couldn't do it.
You're having a great time.
Right, that's a good point.
But you might be
He's
like
selling
super
it.
wise. That's the other thing. If you think of how smart a person is, they keep
Joe Rogan is in a spiel of a salesman for the system of racism, white supremacy. And the sales pitch is living for an extra 200 years in the body of, in the like the reclaimed monkey body of whatever.
their shit together, and they become like a mature older man who's just wise and understands the way the world works. Someone who's well read and really has taken the time to do the work on themselves personally. They know themselves better than they did when they were a young, foolish man.
Right.
That's hopefully most of us as we get older. But what if you could live to 300 years? How wise would you be then?
My biggest concern isn't necessarily about being wise. I think it's about my loved ones. Because I watch, you know what I mean? Because you see a lot, in 300 years, you see a lot of shit.
Right.
Like, that's like 3 wives. Actually, maybe 4 or 6. Who knows?
Right.
But, like, as they pass, you have your kids, and, like, your kid will live to be, like, 80 years old, and you're just like, hey, you know.
You gotta get your kid a new body.
Yeah.
That's more
I
incentive
wouldn't want to
to
go
work
on
hard.
forever, though, because I feel like, what's the world going to look like in 300 years?
Maybe it'd be dope. Maybe it would be the shit.
Maybe it would be.
Maybe it would.
You know what
Maybe
I
it
wanna
would
say?
be.
You know, the most fascinating thing I keep thinking about is us going to Mars. I know Elon Musk really wants that. Do you want to go? Would you go?
Nope.
Why?
Not interested.
It's a one-way trip, I know.
Look, I don't want to go to Antarctica. Why
Really?
the fuck would I want to go to Mars? I don't want to go anywhere where people can't live.
We go to Utah in the woods and shoot deers and stuff.
People live there.
Really?
It's beautiful. There's streams and trees. It's gorgeous.
But you're
Really?
just saying that you don't like when people come up to you at a restaurant and harass you.
They're
So,
making
you
it look
living alone,
stupid.
I like being around people, though. That's why I go to a restaurant. I'm not
I
like
see.
in a cave somewhere trying
Right.
to eat. You know what I mean? I mean, there's nothing wrong.
I feel like you would want to do that. I feel like with
Fuck
all this manly shit that you do, like men want to just go and just like light fires in caves and shit and just like
Dude,
beat up
going
animals.
to Mars is stupid. You can't come back. That's like going to the shittiest neighborhood in the
Yeah,
known universe you can get to
But guess
on a
what?
one-way
But guess
ticket.
what? Your name
Oh yeah,
will
live on
live
forever.
This
We'll
guy's
live on
making
with
Joe
us.
Rogan look
Assholes.
amazing.
No one cares.
guess
You know
you're
who else's name lives forever? Hitler. Who gives a fuck?
Yep. Black on black consciousness. This dude's worse than 1,000 Cardi B's. But it's not just about him. He's just a really, really good example of what Charles Barkley is, Shaquille O'Neal, Idris Elba, Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Beyonce, Maya Angelou, like all these people that are used, they are used to maintain that system. All those people are worse than 1,000 Cardi B's. Like this dude specifically, well, they're like other versions of Cardi B. This dude is like 1,000 Cardi B's because he's selling the actual the core issues of the empire. So I just wanted to make that known, make that clear, so people can understand where the responsibility starts. Obviously, like I was talking about in all those other videos, the responsibility starts, if you want to change, you have to change yourself. On a macro scale, if we're going to change, we have to change ourselves. And that ain't got shit to do with anybody else. First step is to recognize how these systems of other people are inside of us. Chapter 1 is to understand what the system of other is. Chapter 2 is to exist to see how that system of other exists inside of you. You have to see what the other is before you see what the other is inside of you, because you can't differentiate between you and the other if you don't know what the other is. The other is full of shit. The other exists inside this dude's fucking in this guy's face, in this whole podcast, this whole back and forth, this Mars conversation, this technology conversation, that is the other. The parasite is the other, and that other needs to be held accountable. And right now, you have in this truther community, it's the biggest defender of not looking at that parasite. I'll leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the support. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.